Today on the Star Trek Critic is the third episode in a row that should have never been made, and proof why in the good shows they are always diverted from their regular mission. Their regular missions are terribly boring, and that is the Icarus factor. Usually a show will have an A storyline and a B storyline, but this one has 3 C storylines. The writers could not come up with a full script and just put the leftovers together, and this is what we got. As usual, this episode will start with 100 points, taking away 1 point for each error. First point lost is for being a bad filler show. Their goal is to get a certain number of episodes in one season, whether they are decent or not. The first storyline, the Enterprise, has some readout errors, and they're going to have engineers at Starbase Montgomery check it out. Data suggests a simple reprogramming will solve the problem. Isn't that also known as a Kelevin? Geordi rewrites the song Don't Worry Baby. There is some confusion here about the transfer orders. The Ares captain is retiring. It will be a few months before Riker takes command of the ship. Now the script is written like he would be off the Enterprise in 12 hours, not just 12 hours to accept the offer, so minus 1 point. As usual, an extra crosses before doors open. Wesley says I number 1, but they do not get into a synchronous orbit, so minus 1 point. Minus 1 point for black squares on the back panel to prevent the glare, and minus 1 point for a single set of doors on the turbolift. And any random family member conflict plot is horrible for Star Trek. They are bad enough on soap operas, so minus 1 point. Kyle Riker wants to bury the hatchet, but Will Riker just wants to be the jerk the entire show. The transporter operator says I number 2. Proof the Enterprise is traveling in the opposite direction of a synchronous orbit, and minus 1 point for Diana Muldaur not being listed as a regular. And the third plot line is Wesley's about ready to get his ass whooped by Worf. Yes! So this extra is lucky enough to ride the elevator, but I have to take 1 point for opening credits 6 minutes into the show. Wesley said Worf is acting a little strange. Geordi says, yeah, he probably just needs to get laid. You're gonna figure that one out too sometime. Have you ever noticed the camera will follow an extra from one main character to the next? O'Brien and Riker are over here having a mad moment. Aww. Now they question the gender of their drink. Now it turns out everybody who works for Riker knows his dad. That's really gotta be annoying. Either he's singing an old song or he's sexist. Although Kate is just as sexist when she looks at his butt like this and says, you look wonderful. They kiss, and here's Commander Riker's reaction.
Oh my god! I had no idea.
This is the worst that's what she said line you ever want to hear. Riker's still being a little prick to his dad. Here's one vague reference that in the future when people get married it's only for a short time, like a 5-year contract. It's brought up in later Trek shows too. Both Data and Geordi fall for Wesley's stunt to get them to spy on Worf for him. And I would love to have those lamps. Geordi denies knowing his own best friend. Aww. Now he sings like Lumiere. Data practices his Klingon social skills.
Be gone!
Both of them are like, how did he delay his voice like that? Riker looks at old family photos and wonders why his dad only took him to Alaska for vacations. Riker's dad took the T-Bird away. Worf wants to go with Riker to die in combat. He's really agitated right now. He probably just needs to get laid. Kyle Riker wants to make amends, but Will Riker says, why didn't you just email this to me? Coming here by ship is a waste of taxpayer money. He's really being a jerk to his dad right now. The only backstory to their feud is that the writers needed to come up with a plot real fast, so minus 1 point. You just don't know enough about it to care. Here is a nice special effect where the Enterprise is turning. Did you notice Kyle Riker's suit looks like a Romulan uniform? Pulaski cures patients the old-fashioned way. Just what is she talking about right here? Then Kyle Riker starts to talk about the third baseman over and over again. And of course, the only reason Kyle Riker is rude to Deanna is they are using the soap opera formula of everyone just antagonizing each other to make the ratings go up, just like reality shows. The purpose of this scene is so Will Riker can watch Picard kiss up to Kyle Riker and have another reason to be pissed off at his dad. According to Memory Alpha, this would make Worf 23, but Memory Alpha says he's 25. I thought he was closer to 30, so 1 point is lost for an age mismatch. Shout out to Wesley trying to help Worf in his time of need. Aww. However, I'm sure a Klingon hooker would have solved the problem too. Here, Riker learns Pulaski has the hots for his dad. This is the big flaw in the show. Will Riker is high enough in Starfleet to get information from all over and would have known his dad was almost killed in an incident with the Tholians, so 1 point is lost here. Kate says, Will, quit being a little prick and settle the score you have with your dad. Now Captain Picard keeps talking about the third baseman. And yes, you would be a fool to turn down this promotion. In the military, you constantly need to promote up or eventually they'll forget about you. And this is excellent advice from Captain Picard for everybody. In case you're wondering, this is not a generic screen the producers made. Picard always has it pop up when someone comes in to hide the porn he was watching. Here, they are acting insulted by the inspection team, when in reality, it was Captain Picard who said he wanted a third party to check it out. Riker says he is the ship's counselor, and Deanna says, just mind your own business. Talk about role reversal. I know it's a good special effect, but they used it more than once, so I have to take a point. The rumor is, Mitchell Ryan almost got the part of Captain Picard. Can you imagine this father and son pair arguing on the bridge all the time for 7 years? Dr. Pulaski learned they're going to do a man fight. She says, haven't we grown past resolving our problems with physical conflict? I'd say no, considering the spaceship she is on can incinerate a planet in seconds if it needs to. Kyle Riker says, don't worry, be happy, and besides, I cheat. Worf thought Deanna created a holographic Klingon brothel for him, but it turned out to be a rite of ascension chamber instead. Worf shouts in Klingon and then translates so his friends know what he just said. And 1 point is lost here. The holodeck would not be able to create pain sticks that create that much pain. And the replicator probably couldn't do it either. Worf says thank you to the young ensign, and this is Klingon for where are the hookers? Deanna and Kate have a girl moment discussing where they're going to have their foursome after the fight. 1 point is lost since the stars aren't moving in the background. Kate says, I hope they don't injure each other, the sex won't be nearly as good. Another point lost for Ambo Jitsu looking like a silly Tron game. 1 point lost for really poor dialogue while they're fighting. Did you ever notice the gym looks just like the cargo bay? Riker discovers his dad was cheating all the time. They have a father-son moment and everyone is happy. The moral of the story is, 300 years in the future when all relationships are perfect, you still need a good family fight to boost the ratings. Kyle Riker says, I love you. Will Riker says, I know. Did you know you also have a son named Thomas? That's what she said. Kyle says to be careful. Will says, I always use protection. The specialists say to reprogram the system just like Data said. Riker has destroyed his career by staying on the Enterprise. His reason? You can only be a TV star on the Enterprise. And the ship flies off, ending another Season 2 mediocre filler show. This was Lance Spellerberg's second and final appearance on the Enterprise. And Mitchell Ryan just recently left us. He started his acting career in the Navy and has an incredible screen career with 140 screen credits including Lethal Weapon, Dharma and Greg, and of course the original Burt Devlin in Dark Shadows. Yes! The Icarus Factor, a terrible show that just takes up space, got a score of 84%. How is it so high? I'm going to have to rethink my grading process because I could barely handle watching it. While I'm doing that, please leave comments below, click that like button, the share button, and that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.